Imagine embarking on a magical journey filled with puzzles, adventure, and cherished friendships. Today I want to tell you about a project I've been working on for my boyfriend's 30th birthday. He was the protagonist of his own real-world adventure game, where he had to unlock secrets, overcome challenges, and find hidden treasures in order to receive his true power. Oh, and I had his friends dressed up as mythical characters to help him guide along the way. I wanted to give him an unforgettable experience. So I gathered his friends and organized a fantasy-themed scavenger hunt with minigames and puzzles where each chapter stood for a character trait that makes him who he is. But I also wanted to give him something tangible. So from a book that's over a century old, I created a physical representation of the friendships that make him who he is. I then hid the book in a secret compartment of a puzzle chest I completely designed and made myself. Throughout this video, I want to take you behind the scenes of the thought and effort that went into making this enchanting project a reality. It's a testament to creativity, friendships, and the joy of giving. The whole quest was to find a book, but I wanted a little bit more story than that. So I was thinking, you know how every fictional character has their own special powers, right? Well, I didn't want him to have fake powers because then at the end of the day, he was just going to be disappointed that he didn't actually have those powers. So then I thought, what if I turn his actual character traits into real-life superpowers? There were 7 friends who helped me out with the scavenger hunt, so I divided the quest into 7 chapters, each representing a different personality trait that he actually possesses. This made coming up with games and puzzles a lot easier because then every chapter had a theme. One chapter, for example, was the good listener, where his musician friend was dressed up as a guitar-playing fairy, and he had to play along and listen carefully to the song so that he could open the number lock and free the pixie that was locked in the lantern. In chapter The Good Helper, he had to help his real-life professional climber friend, who played an adventurer, retrieving his furry friend from the Monkey Mountains. For the chapter Great Deaths, because he's good at deep conversations, he helped a fisherman find a sea monster using a magnet fishing rod, and so on and so forth. Once he'd complete a chapter, he'd receive an artifact, like fairy blood, a crystal, or this cool thing that I made. He would also receive a clue to the next location in the form of a puzzle, and he would get a trade card. With Midjourney, I created these magical images that represented the personality trait, and with my cutting plotter, I turned them into beautiful, gold-embossed tarot-like cards. I think they really added to the gamification and storytelling of the whole experience. I always like the idea of friendship books as a birthday present because they're such a nice gift to receive. They're super valuable and they don't really have to cost a lot of money. But I also wanted to create a version that's nice to get as a 30-year-old guy, or at least something that my boyfriend would love to have. So I was thinking about Harry Potter and how photos always move in the movie, like in news articles or in photo albums. And I thought of a way to create a similar effect using lenticular sheets. I asked his friends and family to send me 2 portrait photos that look alike. Using Photoshop, I found the right size for the lenticular and interlaced the 2 photos using masks. I printed a photo, glued the lenticular on top, and moving your head or the photo really made it look like the photos were moving. I then found a vintage philosophy book that was over a century old, cut out the frame, and glued the photos one by one in the book. I also asked everyone to send me an audio or video with a heartfelt message for the birthday boy, which you could listen to by scanning the QR code next to the photos. I designed and gold embossed a cover, and voila, it looked like an actual enchanted book. I felt like there was one thing missing. I didn't want it to feel like a day full of kids' activities, and I know that he loves puzzle boxes and escape rooms. So when I found his chest on Amazon, I decided to turn it into one. Now, obviously, this was a very optimistic idea, as I had 0 experience with any of that. This was absolutely the most difficult part of the project because I wanted the artifacts that he collected during the scavenger hunt to actually do something in the chest, like open up a compartment or turn on a light. I wanted to add in gamification and that feeling of I did something or, dopamine. I found these beautiful glass crystals that make pretty cool collectibles. They didn't open anything, but once he clicked them in the chest, a light turned on. I 3D modeled a holder for each of them, including a basic geometric shape that would give a hint on which crystal goes where. I also engraved illustrations at the bottom of the chest that gave an extra hint. This was my very first time in a 3D modeling program, as well as Illustrator, but I was pretty happy with the results, and when I printed them and covered them with copper tape, they looked pretty cool. Copper tape conducts electricity, and because I made open circuits that were closed by the copper holders, the LEDs turned on by simply putting a crystal in the right place. I did, however, forget about this thing called gravity, so they didn't really stay in when you put them in horizontally, but I guess it worked fine for now. The circuit board lamp did actually open up something, but it also just looked really cool. I 3D modeled and printed the top and base and engraved the acrylics in the middle with the circuit board pattern. By placing the lamp in the chest, I'd make contact with the battery and you could see the beautiful blue light shine through. By twisting the lamp, a side panel would turn and allowed you to slide the other side panel, and with that unlock the compartment. In the compartment, you'd find a crystal wand. To give a hint what to do next, I wrote the cryptic message, "Follow the gold with magic," on the inside of the lid of the chest with a UV marker. I made an amulet with a magnet on the back, which activated the reed switch and turned on the UV lights. To indicate where to put the amulet, I painted the shape with gold and some Latin words that Google Translate tells me means, "In the dark you'll find the light." In the secret bottom of the chest, I've hid the book. This was the final puzzle. The simple lock I used was an invisible hatch with a nail, so you could open it with a magnet. The wand contained a tiny magnet at the bottom, but strong enough to move the nail. Now it actually looked like a magic wand. The whole project took about 3.5 months, from coming up with the initial idea to thinking of the whole story to thinking of all the different puzzles in the scavenger hunt and actually creating the puzzle blocks, which took me weekends and nights that I had to work on it in secret. But it was absolutely worth it because it was a lot of fun. I'm very happy with the end result, and I hope that it's going to be a day that he'll never forget. I know that I won't. A lot of people ask me, so what do you expect for your next birthday? But, I'm a humble girl. I don't need much. I will settle for a puppy.